They say evil doesn't announce itself with a thunderclap. No, it often comes with a smile, a charming word, or a seemingly innocent request. It might ask for help carrying books to a car, faking an injury to lure you in. It preys on kindness, on trust. And only when your back is turned, when it's too late, does the mask finally slip. This is the chilling story of a man who shattered the world's perception of what a monster looks like, proving they can walk among us, hidden in plain sight. This is the story of Theodore Robert Bundy. Join us as we delve into the dark mind of one of history's most infamous figures.
EvilEcho.
November 24th, 1946. A chilly day in Burlington, Vermont. A young woman named Eleanor Louise Cowell gives birth to a baby boy. His name is Theodore. But from the very first breath he takes, his life is built on a foundation of deception. His official birth certificate is a carefully crafted lie designed to hide a family secret. The woman who gave him life, his mother, is suddenly presented to the world and to him as his older sister. His grandparents step into the roles of his mother and father. This intricate web of deceit becomes his reality. The first mask is placed upon Theodore's face before he can even utter a single word, setting the stage for a life shrouded in mystery and darkness. What happens when a person's entire identity begins with a lie? Ever wonder what creates a monster? Let's go back to the beginning for one of the most infamous figures in history. Ted Bundy grew up feeling like an outsider, constantly aware that something was wrong with him. But he couldn't put his finger on what. He was the shy, awkward kid on the playground, always on the sidelines. He became a keen observer of other children, studying how they laughed, played, and interacted so effortlessly. He started mimicking them, learning that if he couldn't be genuine, he could at least act the part. This was his first great discovery. Performance could be a powerful substitute for real connection. He learned to build a mask, becoming whoever people wanted him to be. It was a skill he would perfect, hiding the darkness that grew within. He was the boy next door, the one every parent hoped their daughter would bring home. By high school, Ted Bundy had perfected his performance. He was a model student, earning straight A's with ease. His smile could charm anyone, and his polite, respectful demeanor made him a favorite among adults. He was the picture of a promising young man destined for great things. But this was all a carefully constructed mask. When the sun went down and he was alone, a different side emerged. A dark, hidden self stirred within him, one that few could have ever imagined. It was a chilling fascination with violence, an insatiable hunger for control, and a terrifying fantasy of possessing others. Behind the charming smile was a growing darkness, a chilling secret that would soon be unleashed upon an unsuspecting world. What happens when the mask finally slips? He went to university, studied psychology, perhaps trying to understand the void inside himself, or perhaps learning how to manipulate it in others. Either way, Theodore Bundy became everything America wanted in a young man. Handsome, articulate, ambitious, a future lawyer, a future leader. He was the perfect neighbor, the charming stranger, the man you'd trust without a second thought. This meticulously crafted persona was his greatest weapon, a mask of sanity, hiding an unspeakable evil. He moved through society like a ghost, his true nature invisible to all who crossed his path. But beneath the surface, the darkness was growing. And soon, it would demand to be fed. The carefully constructed facade began to crack, and the monster lurking behind the all-American smile was ready to emerge. The country would soon learn that the most terrifying monsters are not those that hide in the shadows, but those that walk among us in plain sight. In 1974, the Pacific Northwest. Young women begin to vanish. Beautiful, bright, with long dark hair parted down the middle. They disappear from college campuses, crowded beaches, busy streets, in broad daylight. No screams, no witnesses, just gone. What no one understood yet was that evil had found its method. Ted Bundy didn't look like a killer. He looked like the boy next door. He wore a cast. He carried crutches. He smiled shyly and asked for help loading books into his Volkswagen Beetle. And when compassion opened the door, he struck. His victims were not random. They were carefully chosen. Each one resembled someone from his past, an ex-girlfriend, who had rejected him, shattered his fragile ego. He wasn't killing strangers, he was killing her over and over again, reclaiming the power she had taken from him. But Ted Bundy was more than a predator. He was a student of human nature. He volunteered at a suicide hotline, worked on political campaigns. He had a girlfriend who loved him, who believed in him. He compartmentalized his life so completely that even those closest to him saw only what he wanted them to see. This was the Mask of Sanity, meticulously crafted to conceal the monster lurking just beneath the surface. He moved through society not as an outcast, but as one of its own, using his charm and intelligence as his most devastating weapons. His normality was the ultimate deception. Linda, Donna, Susan, Roberta, Brenda, Georgine, Denise, Janice. These were not statistics. They were daughters, sisters, friends. They had dreams, they had futures, and Ted Bundy stole every single one. By 1975, detectives across multiple states were beginning to connect the dots. A chilling pattern was emerging from the shadows. A man in a VW Beetle, a man with a cast, feigning injury to lure his victims. A man who was too charming, too helpful, too perfect to ever be suspected of such heinous crimes. Was hiding in plain sight, a predator disguised as the boy next door. And then, a break in the case gave investigators their first real chance to unmask the monster. August 16, 1975, a routine traffic stop in Utah. Officer Bob Hayward pulls over a suspicious vehicle. Inside, handcuffs, a crowbar, rope, an ice pick. And sitting calmly behind the wheel, Ted Bundy, still smiling, still in control. The chilling discovery offered the first tangible glimpse behind the charismatic law student's facade. A mask of sanity meticulously crafted to hide the monster within. He was arrested, charged, convicted of kidnapping. But even behind bars, Ted Bundy's greatest performance was just beginning. The subsequent escapes, the chilling courtroom antics, and the horrifying confessions would captivate and terrify the nation, forever cementing his place as the embodiment of evil hiding in plain sight. His story serves as a terrifying reminder that the most dangerous predators are often the ones we'd never suspect. He chose to represent himself in court. He cross-examined witnesses. He joked with the judge, played to the cameras like a man auditioning for a role, because to him, it was all theater, and America watched, transfixed. He received fan mail, marriage proposals. People couldn't reconcile the horrors with the man they saw: articulate, educated, remorseful at times. Some even believed he was innocent, because evil, they thought, should look evil, shouldn't look like Ted. He was charming, a former law student, the boy next door. This couldn't be the face of a monster who had terrorized a nation. The media dubbed him a diabolically handsome killer, and the public became obsessed with the paradox. But then he did the unthinkable. December 1977, Ted Bundy escapes from a Colorado jail by sawing through the ceiling of his cell. For 6 days, he is free. Then, he's captured. And 6 months later, he escapes again. This time he runs, across state lines, to Florida. And there, in the final frenzied chapter of his life, the mask shatters completely. The charming, handsome law student persona evaporates, revealing the horrifying truth beneath. It is a rampage of unspeakable violence, a desperate, last-ditch effort to evade justice. This is not just a manhunt. It is a confrontation with the true face of evil, a chilling epilogue to a story that had terrified a nation. The manhunt culminates in a final dramatic capture, but the true terror lies in the realization of who he was all along. January 15, 1978, 3 a.m., the Chi Omega sorority house. Ted Bundy enters through an unlocked door, and in less than 15 minutes, attacks for women. 2 of them, Margaret Bowman and Lisa Levy, do not survive. Leaves bite marks, DNA. Evidence, his rage no longer controlled, leaves a trail. 3 weeks later, he abducts 12-year-old Kimberly Leach from her school. Her body is found weeks later. Finally, the monster is cornered. On February 15, 1978, a Pensacola police officer spots a suspicious vehicle and pulls it over. Inside is Ted Bundy. The nationwide manhunt, the reign of terror that had gripped communities from Washington to Florida, was at last over. He had escaped custody twice before, slipping through the grasp of law enforcement with unnerving ease, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. But this time, there would be no escape. The charming law student, the handsome stranger, the man who had hidden his depravity behind a mask of sanity, was finally brought to justice. The true face of evil was unmasked, and the nation could finally breathe a collective sigh of relief as the final chapter of his horrific saga began. His trial became a media circus. The first trial ever televised nationally. America couldn't look away, and Ted reveled in it. He cross-examined witnesses. He smiled for the cameras. He even proposed to his girlfriend, Carol Ann Boone, in open court stand. She said yes. Played the part of the charming, wronged law student, a master manipulator, performing for his largest audience yet. But the evidence was overwhelming. Bite mark analysis, a relatively new forensic tool, matched his teeth to the wounds on Lisa Levy's body. Witnesses, survivors, testimonies, the truth, no matter how much he performed, could not be hidden. His mask of sanity finally slipped, revealing the monster beneath the carefully constructed facade. The sheer weight of his crimes crushed his theatrical defense. Guilty on all counts. Sentenced to death. Judge Coward, in a moment both chilling and compassionate, told him, "Take care of yourself, young man. You're a bright young man. You'd have made a good lawyer. I'd have loved to have you practice in front of me, but you went another way, partner." These words, spoken at the sentencing of one of history's most notorious serial killers, cut to the heart of the Ted Bundy enigma. Here was a man who possessed charm, intelligence, and a promising future in law and politics. He was the handsome stranger, the helpful neighbor, the man you'd never suspect. Yet beneath this carefully crafted mask of sanity lurked an unfathomable darkness, a depravity that led him to commit monstrous acts against dozens of women. Even in condemnation, there was acknowledgement. Ted Bundy could have been anything, chose to be a monster. For 10 years, Ted Bundy sat on death row. He gave interviews, confessed to 30 murders, though the true number may never be known. He tried to bargain information for a delay of his execution, but time ran out. January 24th, 1989, 7 a.m. outside the prison. The scene is surreal. Some people hold vigils for his victims. Others cheer, hold signs reading "Burn, Bundy burn," and set off fireworks. America is divided not over his guilt, but over what his death means. For some, it was justice served, a final end to a reign of terror. For others, it was a grim spectacle, a reflection of the same darkness Bundy embodied. The execution closed a chapter, but the questions linger. How could such evil hide behind a mask of sanity? And how many more secrets did he take to the grave? The Ted Bundy story is a chilling reminder that the monster next door can be all too real. At 7:16 a.m., Theodore Robert Bundy is executed in the electric chair. His last words are an apology to the families of his victims. Too little, too late. The monster is dead, but his shadow remains. Why does Ted Bundy still haunt us? Why do we tell his story, study his mind, try to understand what cannot be understood? Perhaps it's because he forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Evil is not always obvious. It doesn't always wear a mask of horror. Sometimes it wears the face of the person sitting next to you. The neighbor, the boyfriend, the man who offers to help. Ted Bundy was not born a monster. He was made by wounds, by lies, by a void he tried to fill with control and destruction. But that does not excuse him. That does not erase the 30 or more lives he took, the families he destroyed, the fear he spread. Understanding the genesis of evil is never the same as forgiving its consequences. We remember the name Ted Bundy, a symbol of charismatic evil, but we must remember his victims more. They were real people with dreams, hopes, and futures. They mattered. Their lives were not just statistics. The mask has fallen. The lesson remains. Look closer. Trust your instincts. And never forget, the most dangerous predator is the one you never see coming.